Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toneful, the self-actualization video podcast, episode number 59. Simple doesn't mean easy. So this week, I want to talk about how no matter what the task that you're learning is, the skill or the project that you want to start, the things that you need to work on are always simple things. The simple tasks, the simple ideas always bring the biggest amount of results. But just because something is simple doesn't make it easy. And I think that with today's current society, it's really easy to mistake something being simple with it being easy. And this is something that I think I see a lot in my guitar lessons when I'm teaching students. And this is something that I see a lot when someone is learning something new and they perceived that the task would be easier than they thought, than it truly proved to be once real life came up. And when something is simple, like, for example, brush your teeth every day, make your bed every morning, if you make a list of chores that you have to do them every Saturday, and if you have a simple rule that you're going to start at 8 o'clock in the morning every week, all of these things sound so easy if you're just looking at them as they are to be a simple little easy task. But if you take away that part and realize how much work that you have to do around the simple thing that you're doing to make it so that you could do that every day, you realize that it isn't easy. Waking up every day and being ready to do your chore list at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday every week, not as easy as it seems. If you want to watch your cartoons in the morning, you want to have your fun little breakfast, and you want to get to your chores by 8 o'clock, you soon realize, what time am I waking up? 5 o'clock in the morning? What time am I waking up? Is it really early? Or do I want to enjoy that time after? And you start realizing that these simple rules, these simple guidelines we set up, they're not always easy to stick with. How many of us have made a plan to practice guitar for 30 minutes a day? Play a said instrument, to read. Doesn't matter what it is. How long did you stick to it? And for those who stuck to it longer, you can probably attest that it made the hugest difference for you to stick with the simple task or the simple goal every day to create exceptional results. And that is one of the things that a lot of people miss out on. They're looking for the simple step to be an easy step, and then they give up because they are starting to kind of find that they can't get the results that they want from the amount of effort that they perceived that they were going to put out. And so that's the hard thing about this, that remembering that the simple things, that the basics, it's what the masters always practice. They're not always practicing something that's extremely complicated or something that's totally new. Many times you ask a really talented musician or artist, and you go, "See, what do you spend your time doing when you're practicing?" And you find out that the artist draws circles, or the artist practice making straight lines, or sharpening their pencils. And you think in your head, out of all the things that a really, really talented artist could be doing, that's what they're spending their time practicing? Or that's the skill. But if you can't sharpen the pencil right and you can't get the right texture for your drawing, you might be able to envision a certain look, but if you can't translate it to the paper, you're still kind of stuck. And so sharpening the pencil might be part of that process for the artist. No different than drawing the circle a million times. A circle, why a circle? Well, when I want to make a sun, when I want to make a face, when I want to make a hand, when I want to do anything that includes a circle, I'll have the skill set that it takes to adjust the way that I do the circle to make it look right. And if you've done more circles, the obvious truth is you'll be able to do that better. Again, I can keep giving endless examples as to why what is simple is not always easy. But this is something that if you don't take some time to think about in your life, you can actually end up in a very hard place, because you're under the perception that everything's supposed to be easy for you. You go and you attempt it, but what seems so easy on paper, you're reading the description, 5 simple steps to becoming good at guitar. And you read it and you're going through it and you're going, well, I'm doing these 5 simple steps. Why am I not good at guitar? But you're not realizing that those 5 simple steps require repetition, require dedication, and they require you to build around them. And that's actually simple, but it's not easy. There's not a lot of steps, but you must repeat the same thing a lot of times. And so that's why when I deal with guitar students or I deal with someone who's getting into a new hobby, one of the things I like to do is, it's not to curb their passion or anything like that, but I try to ease them into it a little bit. There are very few individuals who can go into a hobby or a new skill set and just take off like a rocket. Most people kind of have like the initial, they pick up, and then they kind of hit their first plateau where maybe they're finally forming opinions about this new said hobby a little bit more. They're kind of developing their opinions about certain parts of it. For some people, this changes how they feel about it. For some people, this actually encourages them to work more because they realize more reasons why they like something. But that's why in the early stages of a hobby or a new thing that people take on, I like to give them space and I like to give them an environment that when they're learning it, there's time to kind of absorb some parts of it and let it meld into their personality. Because as when we want to do art and we want to work on projects that are original and we want to, use these simple steps, we still want to keep our humanism, our creativity in what we do in the project itself so that it shines the way that we want it to shine. But at the same time, we do want to get the benefit of being able to have great habits that are simple, that we have enough discipline to maintain, whether they're easy to maintain or not, but we will develop that discipline to go along with the basics and be proud to work on the basics till we can create something that is complex. Complexity is just many basic things stacked on top of each other. You learn one note, you play one note by itself on a piano or a guitar, not too bad. You play 2 notes together on a guitar and a piano, still not too bad. Get to 3 notes, and now we start having some complexity. It's harder. There's a tritone going on now, or there's like chord colors going on now, color tones. And then we get to a 4-note chord, and now it's more dense. It's melodically more to listen to. It's more to play because we have more notes to hold. Then a 5-note chord, 6-note chord. You guys get the point. Complexity is really just a simple thing with more simple things added together. So I really appreciate you guys always taking the time to watch these Toned and Tonefuls with me. This episode was really important because just because something is simple doesn't mean that we can get away with not putting the amount of work that it's going to take to make it work out. And that it being easy isn't the goal. It's that we can take what is simple and devote our intense energy and our focus to that to create complexity. And so, as we take time to think this week, you might want to take a few moments to think about in your life where, am I focusing on things that are too complex and not focusing on the basics enough? Is my inability to do the basics perfectly clouding my judgment and my execution on things that are complex? These are some things to think about as you go through your week, because remember, if we want to do a cool, hard guitar solo and you have all these ideas, if you can't alternate pick and it's an alternate picking solo, you can't do it, So we want to kind of get our mindset wrapped around seeing what we need, making a very simple plan around it, and then executing on that no matter how hard it is, whether that's easy or it's hard. But it's just to keep the mindset that just because something is simple doesn't automatically make it easy for you. So I appreciate you guys making it through episode 59 with me of Toned and Toneful. I've got some new music coming out, and I'm also going to be doing some new Toned and Toneful episodes. If you've made it this far, you'll be the first to get to hear this. But we're going to be doing some it's not a Rick Beato thing, but it's going to be songs that I enjoy. And I'm going to be bringing up songs from my childhood all the way through things that I'm currently listening to just really show you guys a taste of what I listen to and what I love. So I appreciate you guys as always. And remember, above all else this week, stay toned and toneful.